DJ Scream, heavy in the streets.
We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood. We gon' get it, we gon' get it, we gon' get it. We gon' get it, we gon' get it. Get it in blood. Get it in blood.
Hood rich.
Get it out the mud.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And welcome back. We are back. It has been a little while since the end of the New Orleans Saints season, and it seems like the UFC took a little bit of a break there, so they didn't have to really compete with the NFL playoffs, and now college playoffs are over. So it seemed like UFC kind of took about a month break so they didn't have to really compete with football there. But we are back. And we have let's see what we have here for you this evening. We have some appetizers for you, but it feels more like a kind of like a main course because we've kind of been in kind of the off season and hadn't really started the off season of the NFL New Orleans Saints yet, so hadn't had really any podcasts out for them. But we have some appetizers for you, and I'm talking about UFC 324. So that's UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett. So Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, and this is the first card that's going to be on Paramount. So they've moved away from all the pay-per-views, and I guess they've kind of moved away from ESPN. So yeah, they're going to be on Paramount. So this is the first card on Paramount. And this is January 24th, 2026. So this Saturday coming up, and the start time, even though it is at T-Mobile Arena, Paradise, Nevada, United States, Las Vegas, even though it's on the West Coast there, or on out west there, the start time has come down by an hour. So instead of it being 9 Central, 10 Eastern, now it's 8 Central, 9 Eastern, which is wonderful, honestly, because it's so great to not have to, stay up till midnight, 1 a.m. and then have like the main event end in like 30 seconds due to like an injury or an eye poke or something. So at least you feel like you can go and get a full night's sleep afterward, even though I know it's on Saturday. I guess it would be kind of almost rolling into Sunday there. But yeah, so now we have a little bit earlier of a start time. So even with the early prelims start at 4 p.m. now. So a little bit different. But let's get into kind of the prelims here and the early prelims, and then we'll get onto the main card. But anyways, so it's been a minute. It's been about a couple weeks for myself here. So can I get a menu? And so the first thing is we wanted to kind of go over the prelims before we get into the main card here. And one of the big things to kind of go into and kind of go over is the weigh-ins. They had the weigh-ins this morning, and there was a weigh-in, a fighter. Let's see who it is. Cameron Smotherland was supposed to fight Ricky Turcio. Cameron Smotherland was supposed to fight him, and he weighed in. Looked like everything was fine. He made weight, and then as he was going to get off the stage, off the weight stage, he just collapsed and like fell like face first. And it's crazy that there were some people like actually talking about thinking like, oh, he just needs time to recover. They give him an hour and see if he can get back on the scale and get back off reasonably. And it's like, man, no, dude, just face planted. I don't think the UFC is gonna take any liability of someone dying in the cage when they already saw them pass out a day before just through weigh-in. So Ricky Turcios was who he was gonna fight, and he made weight. So they're talking about if they're gonna give him his winnings or at least the money he makes to make weight? I think they should, because it's not his fault that the guy he was fighting had a bad weight cut. But yeah, that was the first bit of excitement there. And then let's see, had some other missed weights as well. But on the early prelims, you got a heavyweight bout. You guys know I like the beef. I like the heavyweight. I like the potential for a devastating knockout. But you have Josh Hokett versus Denzel Freeman, and this is the early prelims. And then the main event for the early prelims, you have a lightweight bout between Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. So that should be good. And then you had a catch weight. I guess guessing Perez. Uh, yeah, let's see if it who is it. Okay, so I guess both 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 Umar Nurmagomedov or Alex Perez missed weight. Let's see here, Alex Perez. um, I think yeah, Alex Perez and Charles Johnson both missed weight. But that's the main event for the early prelims. But those are some notable names. And then you have on the first fight on the standard prelims, you have lightweight Nikita Krylov versus Modesta Bukakas. And then the main event for the prelims, you have a catchweight, another catchweight bout of 138 and a half. The first one, the earlier one, was 28 and a half, and that was due to Davison Figueroa missing weight. But that's a Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueroa. So really, wow. I mean, honestly, the prelims, just the early prelims are, and with the main event of the early prelims, like because I understand they took a couple weeks off because of not wanting to compete with the playoffs and football playoffs. But yeah, they built up a nice enough card just in the early prelims. The early prelims and the standard prelims is good enough for a fight night, which kind of comes back to like my main card talk. So now we're getting into the main card, but want to kind of get into it because like a lot of these pre-fight shows, I haven't heard them talk about it a whole lot. They haven't mentioned that the main event of this card got scrapped because what was it? Kayla Harrison versus uh, um, yeah, Kayla Harrison versus Nunez, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunez was supposed to be a women's title bout, and it was kind of like it was going to be like a super fight, kind of, because you had like the former, like a lot of people look at her as like the greatest of all time, uh, Amanda Nunez versus like kind of like your current in Kayla Harrison, and that was going to be for I think the featherweight. I'm trying to see if what championship bout that was for. That was for the bantamweight championship bout. But yeah, they didn't talk a whole lot about that. That it got scrapped, and it was just like like a week before the event, and it comes out that Kayla Harrison has like a neck injury and needs neck surgery and is dealing with like uh, paralysis and stuff due to it. So yeah, we not getting the super fight, so that alone hurts the main card. That hurts UFC 324 alone. You don't get the super fight, and I felt like that's kind of a questionable thing. I guess we'll have to see what comes out of it, like from like the doctors and stuff, uh, how serious Kayla Harrison's injury is, and if she'll ever be back, or how real it is. Because it just seems kind of odd to me. Like what, a week and a half before the fight, it comes out that she's got a neck injury. That sounds more like a fighter that's afraid they're going to miss weight or they're not going to be able to pass a drug test to me. And of course, Amanda Nunes, because it was such short notice, like she said that she would have been willing to fight another opponent, but she would not have fought for the interim belt, which I guess you might be Curry in favor, or like holding out hope that Kayla Harrison comes back, so that it would just be an interim belt. But I don't think that's what Amanda Nunes was really wanting to do. So that hurts the main card quite a bit. So that you lose your main event, and then they really, like I said on some of these pre-shows, me having a hard time finding the information that I wanted to talk about it, but they just didn't talk about it at all. And you know how they are with these cards, especially them going on to Paramount. You know they want to talk up about how good it is, but man, that hurt it quite a bit. But this is a good card, the main card, and like I said, even the prelim, but even the main card is good. It's got a lot of strikers. You know, not a lot of ground and pound, lay and pray type of fighters. There's a lot of stand up strikers, a lot of knockout artists on this card. So yeah, a little disappointing that we lost that and won't get to see Amanda Nunes as well. But I guess we'll I guess we'll possibly have a I guess we'll have a new lightweight interim champion at the end of the night. But anyways, let's get into the main card here. We got the five fights on the main card, so let's get into it. So featherweight bout. The first fight on the card is a featherweight bout between Arnold Allen versus Jan Silva. And Arnold Allen, you know, he's a high rated a high rated lightweight, I do believe, or no, featherweight, pretty high rated featherweight. I think he's number six in the UFC, and he's known kind of more like as a kickboxer, kind of a striker. Like I was mentioning earlier, like most of these fighters on this card, the Paramount card, are strikers. You know, I think that's what people want to see. At least Paramount thinks people want to see. They want to see knockouts and crazy brawls. You know, but Arnold Allen is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, and he's on a 1 fight winning streak. And in his 23 matches, he has 20 wins and 3 losses. In those 20 wins, he has 7 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission, and 9 by decision. And then in the 3 losses, just 3 by decision. So he's obviously got a good chin and has good submission defense. And you know, it feels like this is kind of really a fast rise in competition for Jan Silva. Really became popular with the fans with the whole, what is it, the fight nerds and the glasses with the tape around the middle and all that. But man, he took a huge step up in competition when you consider his last fight that he had against Diego Lopez, that he lost TKO, spinning back elbow and punches. So that seemed like a big step up in competition, which that earned Diego Lopez another shot at the belt. And yeah, another shot at the belt at is that, what is that? That's featherweight, isn't it? I do believe, yeah. So another shot at the belt. So that tells you what people think of Jan Silva as well. And so but before that, he was on quite a bit of a heater. He was undefeated in the UFC through 6 fights. He was undefeated in the UFC and was just kind of on a tear, like knocking everyone out, getting submissions. And so it led to the Diego Lopez basically getting a title shot opportunity off of him after beating him. But yeah, it took a pretty brutal and devastating knockout by Diego Lopez with the spinning back elbow and with punches. But he before that he was 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and in his 19 fights, he has 16 wins and 3 losses. In the 16 wins, he has 12 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, and 1 win by decision. And then in the 3 losses, he's been knocked out once, submitted 0 times, and two losses by decision. And so I feel like in competition competitively, these guys are pretty equal in their competitive. Like this is a good matchup of 2 good strikers, but both of them do have good ground skills. But I think I'm going to go with Arnold Allen just to test Jan Silva's chin after being knocked out for the first time in his career. Let's see how that chin's recovered. Let's see if there's any cracks or anything in the jaw that you have to worry about that jaw turning to glass or anything like that. Because I think Jan Silva, he's what, like the sixth rated featherweight, while Jan Silva feels like a bit of a fast riser from the 2024 and the 2025 season. But Ben got devastatingly knocked out in his last fight. Let's see how he recovers to that, and continuing to fight fighters that are higher rated than him in the featherweight division. So with Arnold Allen, so in the featherweight bout between Arnold Allen versus Jan Silva, I'm going with Arnold Allen to get the knockout. And I don't necessarily think it'll be like in the first round or anything, because it was towards the end of the second round where he caught that spinning back elbow and those punches from Diego Lopez. So it may be in the second or the third round, but I see Arnold Allen knocking Jan Silva out, and maybe Jan Silva may have to try to come to terms with what weight class he fights in, or how he's fighting, or maybe have to go somewhere else other than in the fighting nerds. But yeah, like I said, felt like he was a bit of a fast riser there. I think his devastating knockout to our Arkansas boy helped him quite a bit there. Yeah, the Bryce Mitchell wasn't a knockout. I guess it was a submission choke. I guess that was Josh Emmett that completely starched Bryce Mitchell. But so that's the first pick on the fight on the card. Let's see. So on to the second fight on the card. We have a women's flyweight bout between Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. And I'm reading kind of reports that like an impressive victory, either by Natalia Silva or Rose Namajunas, like an impressive win or a dominant win or just a really good win, could earn them a shot at the flyweight title shot. So this could be kind of like a title eliminator. And I've seen before I get too ahead of myself, seen the same thing with the featherweights and Arnold Allen and Jan Silva. One of those guys have an impressive knockout or a really quick submission or something like that could lead to them these all being kind of like title eliminator bouts, all of them, the entire card really, besides obviously the main events. That's an interim title shot anyways. But Natalia Silva, she's I think she's a striker. Let's see, yeah, she's uh, first kind of came to her combat sports was in Taekwondo, and initially preferred striking, but you know, to become a true and good mixed martial artist, you're going to have a ground game, have to learn to be able to grapple, and usually have to learn Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But she's on a pretty impressive run herself and women's that may have kind of been unnoticed by some, but she is on a 7 fight win streak in the UFC. And let's see, and a 13 fight winning streak since fighting back at Fight Club MMA 5 and back in like 2018. So she hasn't lost a fight since 2018. But she's predominantly a striker. So she's 5-0 in her last 5 fights over women like Andrea Lee, Victoria Leonardo, Vivian Araujo, Jessica Andrade, former champ Alexa Grasso. So yeah, she's fought some good women there. In her last 5 fights and their fights in the UFC. And she has 25 fights in her career with 19 wins and 5 losses. In those 19 wins, she has 5 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission, and 6 wins by decision, 1 win by disqualification. And then in the 5 losses, she has 1 win or 1 loss by knockout, 2 losses by submission, and 2 losses by decision, and then 1 draw. So she's lost pretty much, won and lost and drawed and disqualified, and any way you can think of pretty much. But she's I guess she's never lost one by disqualification. But any other way you could win or lose, she's done it. But Rose Namajunas, also known as kind of like a real technical striker, but has really good, nice kicks and axe kicks and things like that. And she's a former champion in two weight classes, I believe. So she's a two-time champion, looking to get that belt back. But man, it feels like Natalia Silva is kind of the one that's really on a title path. Seems pretty direct and obvious because Rose Namajunas, she's just 3-2 in her last 5 fights, and she's Miranda Maverick is who she beat by decision in her last fight, and then she lost to Erin Blanchfield by decision before that. And then in her 21 matches, she has 14 wins, 7 losses. In the 14 wins, she has 2 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission, and 7 wins by decision. And in the 7 losses, she has one loss by knockout, 1 loss by submission, and 1 loss by decision. So kind of mentioned like the ratings, the rankings for these 2 women, Rose Namajunas, the flyweight rankings. As Natalia Silva is like I said, she's like right up there, like the number 2 women's featherweight and number 4 pound for pound. So pretty impressive run that she's on. And like I said, Rose Namajunas said that she's happy to be able to fight another predominant striker for once. But in this women's flyweight bout between Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas, I think I'm going with Rose Namajunas to just kind of edge her out in the striking game. And if it has to go to the ground, which I feel like as if Rose Namajunas may be the first one that tries to take it to the ground. But I just feel Natalia Silva is going to win this, and she's going to win it by decision, regardless of if Rose Namajunas wins or loses. It's going to go to decision because Rose Namajunas hasn't won or lost a fight by stoppage since 2021. So this fight's going to decision, and let's see how many fights that has been in. It's been in quite a few fights, and just all of her fights just all go to decision. So whether she wins or loses, I figure that's where it's going to go. Let's see. So 7 in her last 7 fights, they've all either win or loss have gone to decision for Rose Namajunas. So I think I'm going to go with the favorite here in Natalia Silva to win this and just have just a little bit better striking and be able to keep it standing when Rose Namajunas wants to take it down. Take it down. So a decision bout there. Now then, on to the third fight on the card. We have a heavyweight bout between two big guys here. Some dancing bears, as you could call them. A lot of ass and mass in this one with this heavyweight bout between Waldo Cortez Acosta versus the knockout king and the Black Beast and Derek Lewis. So I think it's Waldo Cortez Acosta who's the younger fighter. He's 34, but that's not really that old for a heavyweight because Derek Lewis is 40. So you'd say Waldo Acosta is in his prime right now. So he's a striker. So this should make for a great matchup between him and Derek Lewis. And he's looking for probably an impressive knockout over Derek Lewis could lead to a title bout, seeing the quality and the talent pool that you have at heavyweight in the UFC. He is 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and he's on a two fight winning streak over Nut Delja and Shamil Gaziev, and not KO knockouts over both of those guys. Not TKO or TKO, like KO knocked out cold. Those last 2 fights in the first round performance of the night for both of them. So some impressive knockouts. The one thing I will say is that those guys aren't Derek Lewis. But in his 18 fights, he's had 16 wins and 2 losses. In the 16 wins, he has 8 wins by knockout, one win by submission, and 7 wins by decision. and then no losses yet by knockout, no losses by submission, and then just two decisions. So if he's going to win, it's either going to be by knockout or going to go decision most likely. And so, a lot of people always seem to uh, underestimate or kind of seems like Derek Lewis. I think maybe it's just because of his age now is always kind of looked at as the underdog. But it's crazy to think that a guy that's 6'3", 265 pounds, and has like the most knockouts in UFC history is considered the underdog, or how he can be an underdog when he can just put with just barely just the wind grazing you, grazing past you when he throws a punch is probably enough to knock someone out like me. So that that he's ever considered an underdog or being bet against is kind of wild, or looked at in some fights as if he has like no chance at all. Like you always got a chance when you got that type of power, that type of knockout power that he has, and he is he is 3-2 in his last five fights, and he is on a two-fight winning streak as well over Rodrigo Nescrimento and Tellison Teixeira. He TKO punched both of those guys, and he extended his UFC record for most knockout wins to 16 with that win. So uh, Derek Lewis, obviously a striker, a boxer, predominantly. Like even with him being such a big guy, and even with the older age, that leg will come up there sometimes. Don't think that it won't. That leg, he's got kicks of his own. But in his 42 matches, he has 29 wins, 12 losses. In the 29 wins, he has 24 total knockouts, one win by submission, four wins by decision, and then in the 12 losses, he has been knocked out seven times before. Just two losses by submission and three by decision, losses by decision, and then just one no contest. And I think it was trying to think. I think I maybe was starting to be one of those people that was kind of thinking maybe he's kind of old and washed. And I'm trying to think if I was, I may have been on the Taliesin Teixeira bandwagon last time, and that kind of blew up in my face with him getting TKO punches, knockout on him in like 35 seconds. So even though Waldo Cortez Acosta is a different fighter than Taliesin Teixeira, who's he's more of like a grappler, more of like a wrestler, and like sambo and stuff. Uh, but that's not what Waldo Cortez Acosta is. But I don't think I want to pick against Derek Lewis again. So in this heavyweight bout between Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis, I'm going with Derek Lewis to get another knockout. So extend his UFC knockout record to 17. It'll be 17 now, and he'll knock out. Yeah, I know Waldo Acosta's never been knocked out before, but that's not uncommon for Derek Lewis to have knocked out someone that had never been knocked out before in their career, or beat someone that had never been beat before. So I'm going with Derek Lewis to knock Waldo Cortez Acosta out. And you really can't predict what round it's going to be with Derek Lewis because, like I said, he can knock you out within the first 30 seconds of the fight, or even in the later rounds, he still has that one punch knockout power, even though once he starts getting a little bit tired in some of those later rounds, he just kind of has his arms kind of just laying down by his side. And if the fighter that he's fighting messes up or leaves that chin out there for a second, those arms will come right up and knock someone's head off. So I'm going with Derek Lewis to get another knockout in this on this card, on his record. All right, now then, on to the co-main event of this card. And like I said, we kind of mentioned how it seems like all the fights on the main card are you could definitely argue them being like title eliminator fights, or all the fighters for the most part are predominantly strikers. Definitely put together a nice card for Paramount, at least for an entertainment value. Just for name value and titles changing hand. That got kind of messed up a little bit with the whole Kayla Harrison neck injury, Amanda Nunes not willing to fight for the interim belt, which I understand why she probably wouldn't wanted to fight just anyone for an interim belt with just a week and a half to prepare or know who it is. But just like all those other fights, this bantamweight bout between Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, an impressive performance by either one of these guys could lead to a bantamweight title opportunity. And I think a lot of people would probably want to see Sean O'Malley win this and win this impressively. So we get the trilogy fight between him and Peter Yan, who is currently the bantamweight champion at the time. But this is a bantamweight bout between Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. And seems like Sean O'Malley, I don't know, it just seems over like his last couple fights. And it just seems maybe it's just because he fought Merab Dashwili twice. It just seems like he hadn't had the same kind of like juice and aura around him, like that knockout aura that you get from, even though he's a bantamweight, he still has like super great striking and just knockout power that you don't in the knockouts that you don't really see from smaller weight classes. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because uh, just seeing him just get absolutely dominated and kind of clowned and sunned by Merab Dashwili 2 times in a row maybe it's more Merab Dashwili than it is Sean O'Malley, but I guess we'll have to see. But in his last 5 fights, he is 3-2. Yeah, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. But like we mentioned, he's on a 2-fight losing streak over former. I guess he's already former champ. That shows you how long some of these fighters hold on to their belts. So say that's probably more of a mistake by Merab Dashwili, fighting a little bit too much in 2025, trying to defend the belt, 2, 3 times in 1 year. Probably wasn't the best idea in regards to trying to hold on to it longer. But Sean O'Malley in his 22 fights has 18 wins with 3 losses. In the 18 wins, 12 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission, and 5 wins by decision. So predominantly knockouts there. And then in the 3 losses, he's been knocked out once, he's been submitted once, been lost by decision once, and then 1 no contest. And he is fighting Song Yadong, who is also, I think, kind of considered kind of a striker as well. I think it would be fair enough to say. And he is 3-2 in his last five fights, and he is on a 1-fight winning streak, with his last fight being like a technical decision over Henry Cejudo. That was on a fight night back on February 22nd, 2023. Henry Cejudo wasn't able to come out of the round for the fourth and fifth round, so he won by technical decision, technical stoppage. An eye injury due to, I guess, due to an actual that was to an actual eye poke, actually. So they just scored the bout with the 3 rounds that they'd gone to. But in his 32 matches, he's had 22 wins, 8 losses. In the 22 wins, he's had 9 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, and 10 wins by decision. And in the 8 losses, he has 2 losses by knockout, 0 losses by submission, 5 wins by decision, and 1 loss by disqualification, and then a draw and a no contest. So kind of similar to Talia Silva. I think we were talking about earlier how she's pretty much won in every way you could won or lost in pretty much every way you could think of. But in this bantamweight bout between Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, I think Sean O'Malley fighting a striker will help him a lot more. Not fighting someone that's a Dagestani wrestler I think that'll go a long way for Sean O'Malley to kind of get his vibe back, his aura, his knockout, his championship valor. Will be able to get it back by getting a knockout over Song Yadong. Who Song Yadong, he's a good fighter too, but he showed that he can be knocked out. He's been knocked out and been not beaten about any way you can think of, but he has his own good striking as well. So it's like kind of like all these fights because there's so much stand up game and such a lot of knockout artists on this card. Even with I pick one way or the other, it could go exactly the opposite way. I could see Song Yadong knocking Sean O'Malley out, even though Sean O'Malley's shown that he's tough and not has a good chin. But in this bantamweight bout between Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, I'm going with Sean O'Malley to win. I think he's going to get the knockout over Song Yadong, and maybe even though it's a smaller weight class, maybe think that comes within the first two rounds. All right, now then, on to the main event of UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett. We have an interim lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. So got Justin Gaethje, I felt is 37 years old. I felt kind of like in his last couple fights, we may have seen him maybe put his gloves down. Obviously, the Max Holloway fight where he got KO punched with like 1 second left, that really kind of hurt his legacy a little bit, or definitely had the Grim Reaper knocking at the door, the retirement door for him after that. But he still decided to come back and fight, and fought someone that he'd fought had just fought like 2 years ago. He'd fought Rafael Fiziev and had a fight of the night type of fight against him and won by decision. And then pretty much did basically the same thing in his last fight. But he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights, and he's on a 1-fight winning streak over Rafael Fiziev. And in his 31 matches, he has 26 wins and 5 losses. In the 26 wins, he has 20 wins by knockout. So I mean, that's pretty impressive for this weight class too, because this is lightweight. So he got almost 20 wins by knockout. That's up there to of what Derek Lewis had with what was that, like 26, 27, and then has 1 win by submission and 5 wins by decision. And then in his 5 losses, he's been knocked out 3 times and been submitted 2 times, and then no losses by decision. So pretty much shows you like if he's going to win, it's probably going to be by knockout, and if he's going to lose, he's probably going to get stopped. He's either probably most likely going to get knocked out or choked out, most likely. Which that may be kind of like perfect for Paddy Pimblett, who kind of like a lot of these fighters, it takes a little while for me to kind of jump on the bandwagon and follow and believe in what they're doing. It seems like about the time that I jump on the bandwagon and become a believer, they end up losing. You can kind of easily go back and look at this card for an example of that, because you can look at Merab Dashwili, who's kind of had his reign over Sean O'Malley, but then after the whole Sean O'Malley wins, he loses his title. And I was jumping on Merab Dashwili's bandwagon as if he's like the best ground fighter at that weight class, and just no one can not be held down from him. And then Peter Yan did a great job of being able to constantly avoid takedowns. And then is the same story with Sean O'Malley. I finally start believing in him as being such a great knockout artist at bantamweight, and then Merab Dashwili comes and absolutely dominates him. So is that going to end up being the same story here with Paddy Pimblett, who's 31 years old, getting his first interim title opportunity? Because I finally became like a believer in Paddy Pimblett after his last fight over Michael Chandler, because I thought Michael Chandler was going to end up like dominating him, like taking him down and wrestling him, maybe get a submission over him, but turned out to be the complete opposite. It ended up being Michael Chandler absolutely getting dominated on the ground and getting stopped by vicious ground and pound with elbows and punches. Like, did not see that coming. So what we're getting from Paddy Pimblett, a young fighter, a constantly growing and developing fighter, like looks so amazing from fight to fight. And he's on a pretty long winning streak here as well. He's on a 7-fight winning streak in the UFC and a 9 total fight winning streak with two wins outside the UFC. So obviously he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights over Jordan Leavitt, Jared Gordon, Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, Michael Chandler, and if he gets the win over Justin Gaethje, he said it himself. Will people still say like, oh, he got all those wins or all those impressive victories over washed fighters? Well, I don't think that opinion will change much if he beats Justin Gaethje, and the backlash that he'll receive if he doesn't beat him will probably be even worse. But like I said, Justin Gaethje has 26 fights in his career with 23 wins and 3 losses. And in the 23 wins, he has 7 wins by knockout, 10 wins by submission, which that kind of got my eyes kind of wide that he has more wins by submissions for following his career, short UFC career. I kind of always thought of him as kind of a striker, and that was kind of the thing. He talked about, what is it? Scots or whatever. Scots have such good chins, and you see a lot of those fights that he's been in where he just has his chin like literally like just like hanging up in the air, and he gets hit directly on it. It doesn't even matter. So maybe they do have cast iron jaws here in the UFC. And then in his 3 losses, never been knocked out, just like we're talking about. Just 1 by submission, and then two by 2 losses by decision, and then six wins by decision as well. So even though it seems like when we've kind of watched Paddy Pimblett striking in the past, it seems like he leaves a lot of openings to get hit, and it seems like that would be like a perfect formula for Justin Gaethje to get a devastating knockout on him. But Paddy Pimblett says Scots and baddies and UK fighters like him apparently can't be knocked out. And like I said, I've become a believer. Usually I catch on a little late, jumping on these bandwagons like I did with Sean O'Malley, like I did Merab Dashwili. But I think I'm gonna have to stick with Paddy Pimblett. I think I'm gonna have to jump on another one with Paddy Pimblett here, because I just feel like Justin Gaethje. I know it would have been a horrible time to retire after he got knocked out like he did against Max Holloway, but I feel that it would have been good timing, because even though he won the Rafael Fiziev fight, I didn't think that was like an impressive fight at all. Even though it won fight of the night, I didn't think it was as good as their first fight. That was a majority decision. But in this lightweight interim title bout between Justin Gaethje, the challenger, versus Paddy Pimblett, the challenger, I'm going with Paddy Pimblett. And, thinking Justin Gaethje, he can probably be beaten in any way. Obviously, it's going to be by stoppage, either knockout or submission. And looking at the fighter record there and seeing those 10 submissions, I think I'm going with Paddy Pimblett to win this, and then win this by submission. And I think it's most likely going to be by way of a choke out, most likely be either like a triangle choke or a rear naked choke or head and arm triangle choke over Justin Gaethje. So basically, if Paddy Pimblett, like he says, the Scots, the baddies, the UK fighters, if Justin Gaethje can't knock Paddy Pimblett out, I don't really see how Justin Gaethje can beat Paddy Pimblett, because Paddy Pimblett kind of like a T1000. He'll just keep coming forward with his chin straight up in the air in the striking game. And then, like I said, he showed us a pretty impressive performance in his last fight. In his last fight, where he just absolutely dominated Michael Chandler. It made him look like a washed up fighter that needs to retire, and I think we'll probably be seeing the same thing with Justin Gaethje. So those are my picks there. So we have lightweight. So the cu- first fight on the fight, we're going with a knockout by Arnold Allen. The second fight on the card, a women's flyweight, going with a decision win by Natalia Silva. And then on the heavyweight, third fight on the card, we're going with Derek Lewis to continue his legacy, his dominance, and making a history Hall of Fame type of legacy for Derek Lewis, continuing a knockout streak that he has, or just knockout totals that he has. And then in the bantam co-main event, I'm going with Sean O'Malley to kind of maybe get back on track, and let's get to see that knockout ability that he has, that great striking that he has. And then in the main event, we're going for Paddy Pimblett to maybe make Justin Gaethje look like a washed up fighter that potentially needs to retire. But anyways, so those are my picks for this card. This will be Saturday, and we mentioned how it's on Paramount now, and it's really nice that it has a 1 hour earlier start for any of the pay-per-view cards that are over in Las Vegas or out there on the West. But anyways, that's that. So that's UFC 324, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, and I'm excited for it. And it's been what 3-4 weeks since there's been any UFC mixed martial arts, at least, because of, like I said, mentioned all the college playoffs, the NFL playoffs. So now they're not having to really compete with them quite as much. So I'm excited. I'm feeling deprived. I've missed the UFC, but we'll get a good dose of it. And with the weather and stuff that we have coming up here, you see me. I got my 100% wool polo sportsman attire on. It's about as warm as stuff that you can get on. With the type of weather that we're getting, I don't think you'll have much of an option other than to stay inside and watch this if you are that type of sports fan, a mixed martial arts fan. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you. So can I get a check, please?